wake up full of ideas, full of energy, and full of dreams, but before you even take a single step, you feel the urge to tell someone. You want recognition, encouragement, a nod of approval, so you call a friend, send a message, post on social media. I'm starting something big, I'm going to change my life. It feels good, doesn't it? That small spark of validation warms your confidence for a moment. But here's the problem. The more you talk about your plans, the less momentum you actually have to execute them. Every time you announce your intentions, every time you seek applause for what you haven't yet done, you leak energy from the fire that should be fueling your actions. That fire, the one that could ignite your dreams, starts to flicker and fade. And months later you may find yourself stuck, with all that ambition evaporated, your plans postponed, and your confidence chipped away by the very people you hoped would support you. Imagine this: two people with the same dream. One talks constantly, updates everyone, and seeks approval at every step. The other works silently, methodically, letting every small action build momentum without anyone watching. Months later, the first person is frustrated and stagnant. The second unveils results that shock everyone, not because they shouted, but because their actions spoke louder than words ever could. What if you could be like the second person? What if you could protect your dreams, safeguard your energy, and let your results speak for themselves? That is the power of working quietly, thinking strategically, and acting deliberately. This is not about secrecy, it's about wisdom. It's about understanding that your focus, your momentum, and your discipline are far too precious to give away to opinions, criticism, or fleeting validation. In this video, we're going to explore the philosophy of moving silently, protecting your vision, and letting results carry the weight of your ambition. You'll learn why talking too soon can derail your progress, how to cultivate focus and momentum, and how to leverage the power of discretion to achieve extraordinary outcomes. By the end, you'll understand why success loves silence, and how keeping your plans private can be the smartest strategy you've ever embraced. If you're ready to reclaim your energy, focus on action, and start building momentum for your dreams, subscribe to Daily Spark Motivation. Join our community where we focus on real, actionable strategies to transform your mindset, habits, and life. Let's dive in, because what you do quietly today can become the success that amazes everyone tomorrow. Part 1: The Power of Silence, Why Results Speak Louder. You wake up full of ideas, full of energy, and full of dreams, but before you even take a single step, you feel the urge to tell someone. You want recognition, encouragement, a nod of approval, so you call a friend, send a message, post on social media. I'm starting something big, I'm going to change my life. It feels good, doesn't it? That small spark of validation warms your confidence for a moment. But here's the problem: the more you talk about your plans, the less momentum you actually have to execute them. Every time you announce your intentions, every time you seek applause for what you haven't yet done, you leak energy from the fire that should be fueling your actions. That fire, the one that could ignite your dreams, starts to flicker and fade. Months later you may find yourself stuck, with all that ambition evaporated, your plans postponed, and your confidence chipped away by the very people you hoped would support you. Consider the paradox: sharing your goals feels productive. You receive compliments, encouragement, and validation. Your mind, however, mistakes this external applause for real progress. Suddenly, the urgency to act diminishes. That fire that once blazed in your chest, the vivid, thrilling vision of your future, begins to cool. Your dreams, the ones that were tangible in your imagination, start to feel already achieved in your mind, yet they exist nowhere else. You begin to drift, and action stalls. I've seen it countless times in my years of business and personal development. People with ideas that could transform their lives talk themselves out of the very projects they once burned to create. Grand ambitions fade not because of lack of skill, resources, or opportunity, but because of the energy spent in telling instead of doing. Now imagine two scenarios. A young professional is brimming with enthusiasm. Every meeting, every call, every chance to speak, he shares his vision. The business he's launching, the project he's developing, the lifestyle he's aiming for. Colleagues listen politely, nod, perhaps even applaud, but months pass and nothing materializes. Energy dissipates, ideas leak, momentum stalls. The dream dies quietly, not for lack of skill, but because the fire was spent seeking external validation. Contrast this with another individual, someone equally ambitious. He dreams of transforming a small family farm, launching a new product, or writing a book. But instead of broadcasting his vision, he works silently. He reads, he experiments, he applies his knowledge. He He tackles challenges, corrects mistakes, and builds progress unnoticed. Months later, when the project emerges, polished, functional, and effective, the impact is undeniable. People marvel not because they were expecting it, but because results speak louder than words ever could. There is a subtle psychology behind this principle. Sharing your goals prematurely activates the reward centers of the brain. You feel momentary satisfaction from recognition. This emotional taste of achievement tricks the mind into believing some progress has already occurred, even when none has. And when the brain believes it has received a reward, it reduces motivation, delays action, and undermines momentum. Success in its early stages thrives on energy, focus, and deliberate action. Sharing too soon drains these vital resources. The power of discretion extends beyond personal motivation. It shields your vision from external interference. Not everyone has the capacity to provide constructive support. Some may question your motives. Others, knowingly or not, project doubt, criticism, or envy. Even subtle skepticism can infiltrate your thinking, introducing hesitation and uncertainty. By keeping your plans private, you protect the integrity of your vision, creating a space for it to grow strong before it is exposed to judgment. Let's explore this metaphorically. Consider a gardener tending young plants. The seeds are planted carefully, nurtured daily, and shielded from harsh winds or curious feet. Only when the seedlings are strong enough does the gardener reveal them to the world. If exposed too early, they might be trampled, frozen, or damaged. Your ambitions are the same. They require careful cultivation in private until they are robust enough to withstand scrutiny. Momentum thrives in silence. Every hour you spend acting, every small step taken deliberately reinforces the next. Rhythm, consistency, and focus develop organically, but when you pause to announce every intention, you disrupt the cadence. Energy shifts from execution to explanation. Focus is diluted. Time is wasted trying to justify progress that doesn't yet exist. Imagine driving a car while constantly stopping to show people where you're going. You lose speed, direction, and sense of purpose. Stories abound of people who failed not for lack of talent, but because they spoke too soon. A friend of mine once spent months sharing every idea for his book with anyone who would listen. Calls, messages, and updates consumed his energy, leaving little for actual writing. The project fizzled. Meanwhile, another writer worked quietly, producing 500 words a day consistently. He revealed the manuscript only to a trusted circle after months of disciplined effort. The result: admiration, impact, and success not from words but from action. From these examples we learn a key principle: action breeds confidence, talking breeds hesitation. When you work quietly, you develop a track record of accomplishment. Each small success reinforces belief in your abilities, builds momentum, and strengthens focus. Conversely, excessive talking creates illusions of progress, allowing doubt, distraction, and complacency to creep in. Discretion is a strategy, not secrecy. It is not about hiding, but about preserving focus, energy, and mental clarity. Early in a project, feedback may be valuable only from a trusted source. Outside opinions can dilute your strategy, introduce unnecessary complexity, or trigger self-doubt. Protecting your plans allows you to learn, adapt, and grow before the spotlight of judgment illuminates your work. There's also the power of surprise. Results revealed after months of focused action have far more impact than constant updates. Whether it's a business launch, a product, or a personal achievement, unveiling results without prior fanfare increases credibility. Admiration and influence. People remember outcomes, not promises. Your work becomes a demonstration of capability, reliability, and vision. Now consider focus and energy. Every time you share your intentions, you invite distractions, questions, advice, alternative suggestions, or opinions. These may be well-meaning, but they fragment attention, introduce doubt, and pull you off course. Your clarity of purpose diminishes and momentum is lost. Keeping your plans private ensures energy is fully directed toward execution, creating a forward motion that compounds into tangible results. Failure, when handled privately, also becomes a tool for growth. Mistakes are natural. Criticism is inevitable. When your work is shielded from public scrutiny, you can fail without shame, learn without judgment, and refine strategies without distraction. This private iterative process builds resilience, skill, and confidence. Public failure magnifies stress, but private experimentation allows for true learning and mastery. Feedback remains essential, but timing and source are critical. Seek input after progress has been made from trusted mentors or experts. Premature advice often confuses or dilutes your strategy. Strategic feedback strengthens while indiscriminate sharing may weaken. Results are your best advertisement. People notice success, execution, and accomplishment more than intentions. The silent worker who cultivates momentum, builds skill, and focuses energy, achieves more influence and credibility than those who talk incessantly about plans they haven't yet executed. Actions resonate louder than words, always. So here's the challenge: the next goal you set, resist the urge to announce it prematurely. Write it down, plan it, execute it quietly. Let your actions accumulate into a body of work that speaks for itself. Focus on movement, momentum, and mastery, not validation. Protect your energy. Guard your vision. Let the world witness your results, not your intentions. By keeping your plans private, you reclaim control over your progress, cultivate patience, and allow your success to grow without interference. You create a rhythm of action, a space for momentum, and a foundation for lasting achievement. This is the path to true success, the kind that commands respect, inspires others, and demonstrates discipline, focus, and quiet determination. Part 2: The energy drain of sharing too soon. Every plan, every goal, every spark of ambition carries a finite amount of energy. That energy fuels action, focus, and momentum, the very forces that transform ideas into results. Yet so many of us squander it before it even reaches the execution phase. How? By talking too early, sharing too soon, and seeking validation before the work has begun. It's a subtle trap. You tell a friend, a colleague, even post on social media, "I'm starting a business, I'm writing a book, I'm changing my life." The words are innocent, almost empowering. You feel seen, recognized, perhaps even celebrated. But with each word, a fraction of the energy that should have powered action quietly leaks away. By the time you reach your desk, sit down, and try to create that fire, the initial excitement, the urgent drive, is weaker than before. I've watched this happen countless times. Ambitious people brimming with ideas often believe that sharing their goals will build accountability. In reality, accountability without action is a double-edged sword. The validation they receive substitutes for real progress. That pat on the back, that polite nod, that "wow, I believe in you," it feels like momentum, but it's an illusion. Their brain interprets praise as reward, motivation diminishes, and the project slows. Energy drains, action delays, and ambition flickers. Let's break it down further. The human mind craves recognition. We are wired to seek approval. When we announce a goal, the subconscious interprets social reinforcement as a mini achievement. Suddenly, you've received part of the reward before doing the work. That satisfaction is fleeting, yet it tricks the brain into reducing urgency. You feel momentarily accomplished, but in truth, nothing has been built, nothing has been executed. This principle extends into every area of life. Consider someone aiming to lose weight. They tell friends, post progress updates, and seek encouragement. Initially, it feels motivating, but the dopamine hit from praise can replace the drive to actually hit the gym or maintain a disciplined diet. Weeks later, the habits don't stick. Momentum stalls. The dream fades, not because of a lack of effort, but because energy was diverted into the external applause rather than internal execution. Contrast that with the person who quietly begins. They keep their plan private, no updates, no validation sought. They wake up, exercise, prepare healthy meals, track their calories, and adjust as needed. No one sees it, no one praises it, but internally every small success compounds. The fire grows stronger, driven solely by action, focus, and tangible progress. By the time results emerge, the energy has been fully converted into accomplishment, momentum, and confidence. This is why the 3% think differently. They recognize that energy is the currency of execution. Every conversation, every explanation, every attempt to gain validation is a tiny withdrawal from that currency. Save it, protect it, invest it in your work. When the seed of an idea is nurtured quietly, away from the noise, it grows with undistracted energy. It emerges not as a fragile dream, but as a tangible achievement. Here's a practical example. Imagine two aspiring entrepreneurs in a small city, say Austin, Texas. One posts his business plan online, discusses strategies with anyone who will listen, and seeks constant feedback. Months later, the project stalls. Ideas are diluted, priorities scattered, energy depleted. The other entrepreneur, equally ambitious, works quietly. He researches, tests, refines, and implements without sharing specifics. The project launches months later, fully formed, professional, and impactful. The public reaction is awe, results speak, energy was preserved, and execution prevailed. The lesson is clear: talking too soon drains energy, focus, and momentum. It is a subtle, often invisible force that sabotages progress. And it's not just external opinions that steal your energy. Even well-intentioned advice can fragment your focus. Conflicting suggestions, doubts, and casual criticisms act like gentle leaks in a reservoir. Without awareness, you may not even notice the loss, but the results will be absent. Here's a strategy to prevent this drain: implement energy boundaries. Decide in advance who is worthy of early disclosure and for what purpose. Limit feedback to mentors, trusted advisors, or collaborators who provide insight without sapping momentum. Protect your inner fire. Treat your energy as sacred, a resource for action, execution, and consistent progress, not for public display or premature validation. Another dimension is the illusion of progress. Sharing your plans creates the appearance of movement. You say, "I'm working on this project," and friends react with encouragement. But appearances are not reality. Real progress is built quietly, step by step. Writing 500 words on a book, making a sales call, coding a feature, or finishing a prototype, these actions matter. Talking about them doesn't. Momentum, focus, and results are interconnected. Every moment spent explaining or justifying is a moment not spent building. Every conversation about intentions without action is a leakage of potential. Action is finite, words are tempting, but they cannot replace tangible progress. The fewer the words, the more concentrated the energy becomes. The result: acceleration, confidence, and tangible outcomes that compound over time. Here's an exercise for today. Take one goal you've been tempted to announce publicly. Write it down in a private journal instead. Plan the first 3 steps, but tell no one. Allocate your energy to execution alone. Work quietly, deliberately, and consistently. At the end of the week, reflect on progress. No validation needed, your results will be your proof. This is the habit of the 3%. Emotionally, this approach cultivates inner strength, self-trust, and resilience. You learn to rely on your own judgment, your own persistence, and your own abilities. You discover that success is deeply personal. It grows in the quiet, nurtured by discipline and focus. When the world eventually sees your achievements, admiration is authentic, and recognition carries far more weight than any premature applause ever could. This principle also applies to long-term projects, creative pursuits, and personal development. Writing a book, launching a startup, building a fitness regimen, or learning a new skill all thrive under the protection of silence and focused action. The fewer people who influence your early process, the stronger your foundation becomes. Results naturally follow, often exceeding expectations because the work was undisturbed, intentional, and fully fueled by your energy. In conclusion, the energy drain of sharing too soon is a silent thief. It steals focus, momentum, and confidence. To succeed, protect your fire, preserve your energy, and reserve your plans for the moment when results can validate your efforts. Focus on doing, not announcing. Execute quietly, build momentum privately. Let your success, not your words, speak for you. Part 3: Protecting your vision, selective sharing. Every vision, every ambition, every seed of possibility you carry is precious. It represents potential, growth, and transformation. Yet in the early stages, that potential is fragile. And here lies the challenge. The people around you are not always aligned with your goals, your values, or your level of commitment. Sharing too widely, too early, or with the wrong audience can dilute energy, introduce doubt, and disrupt the momentum that is critical for success. Selective sharing is not about secrecy. It is about strategy, intentionality, and protection. The 3% understand that not every ear deserves to hear your plans, and not every mouth should confirm them. The wrong feedback, subtle skepticism, envy, or even well-meaning but conflicting advice can infiltrate your thinking, create hesitation, and erode confidence. Imagine a young entrepreneur in Boston, brimming with a revolutionary idea for a tech product. Excited, she shares her plans with colleagues, friends, and acquaintances. Initially, the responses are supportive, but subtle doubts creep in. "Are you sure this will work? I know someone who tried that and failed. It sounds risky." Each comment, though small, introduces uncertainty. By the time she begins execution, her energy is scattered, focus is diluted, and the fire that fueled her initial enthusiasm has weakened. Months later, the project stagnates. The idea was strong, but exposure too early compromised momentum. Contrast this with another entrepreneur in Denver. He has a similar idea but chooses discretion. He shares only with a mentor he trusts implicitly and keeps the details to a minimum. Every day he dedicates time to research, prototype, and refine. By the time the product is launched, it is polished, impactful, and innovative. The public reaction is awe, admiration, and respect. Why? Because the work was allowed to grow quietly without interference, distraction, or premature validation. The principle is clear. Focus your energy on action, not approval. Energy is a finite resource. Every moment spent explaining, defending, or validating ideas is energy lost for execution. The more selective you are in whom you share your plans with, the more energy is preserved for building momentum. Momentum is the engine of success. It thrives in silence, in consistent, deliberate action. Selective sharing also enhances learning. When you choose to confide only in trusted mentors or peers, their feedback is meaningful and actionable. The quality of input increases because the advice is rooted in understanding and aligned with your vision. General feedback from unqualified or casual observers often confuses and misleads, creating noise rather than clarity. Protecting your vision ensures that every adjustment you make is intentional, informed, and aligned with your goals. Consider another practical scenario: a writer planning a book. One author posts daily updates on social media seeking encouragement and approval. Comments come, some positive, some critical, some neutral. The need to respond consumes hours each day. Drafts are delayed. Motivation fluctuates based on reactions rather than personal progress. In contrast, a second author keeps the manuscript private. She sets a target of writing 500 words per day. No one knows the specifics. No applause is sought. Momentum builds. The work progresses steadily. Months later, the manuscript is complete, polished, and ready for publication. The public is stunned. Results speak. Validation comes from achievement, not attention. There is a profound psychological benefit to selective sharing. Confidence and self-trust flourish. When you work quietly and achieve without external approval, you learn to rely on your own judgment, develop resilience, and build self-efficacy. Each completed task becomes proof of capability. You are no longer swayed by external validation, doubts, or criticism. Your confidence is intrinsic, built through consistent action and demonstrated results. Now let's explore practical steps for protecting your vision. Identify your trusted circle. Limit sharing to mentors, advisors, or a few supportive friends who genuinely understand your goals and offer constructive guidance. Keep details minimal. Share only what is necessary to receive meaningful input. Avoid over-explaining, over-promising, or justifying. Document privately. Maintain a personal journal or project log to record ideas, progress, and insights without external interference. Set boundaries. Be selective about when and how you discuss plans. Avoid casual conversations that invite opinions not aligned with your vision. Focus on action. Channel the energy saved from talking into building momentum, completing tasks, and achieving milestones. Emotionally, this practice cultivates a sense of control, autonomy, and empowerment. When your plans are protected, you operate on your own terms, free from distraction and judgment. You learn that success is not about impressing others with intentions, but impressing yourself with results. Let's also highlight the element of surprise. Keeping your plans private allows the results to speak loudly when the time is right. Imagine unveiling a completed project, product, or personal achievement to peers, colleagues, or the public. The impact is magnified precisely because there was no ongoing narrative, no constant updates, no opportunity for skepticism to form prematurely. Your work generates admiration, influence, and credibility naturally. This principle applies not only to business or writing, but to personal goals, creative endeavors, and lifestyle changes. Fitness transformations, skill mastery, artistic projects, and entrepreneurial ventures all benefit from the quiet cultivation of momentum before exposure. By the time others see the results, your foundation is solid and your execution undeniable. Energy management is another key aspect. Every goal, project, or idea requires mental and emotional resources. Talking too early invites unnecessary distractions, questions, unsolicited advice, or divergent ideas. By selectively sharing, you conserve energy, protect focus, and allow uninterrupted progress. Energy invested in action compounds. Energy spent on explanations or seeking approval dissipates. Failure handled privately also becomes a tool for growth. Mistakes can be analyzed, corrected, and learned from without the added weight of public scrutiny. Discretion allows for experimentation, iteration, and refinement. Momentum builds quietly through disciplined, deliberate action, free from the pressure of outside observation. Feedback is essential, but timing matters. Early-stage feedback from casual observers often confuses, discourages, or dilutes focus. Seek input after tangible progress has been made and from sources you trust. By doing so, feedback strengthens rather than disrupts momentum, and your vision evolves based on informed decisions, not unsolicited opinions. Ultimately, the lesson of selective sharing is intertwined with discipline, focus, and momentum. Talking too much diminishes energy, splits attention, and compromises execution. Working quietly, sharing selectively, and preserving your vision protects momentum, builds confidence, and maximizes impact. Actions compound, results accumulate, and achievement becomes inevitable. The challenge for you, the viewer, is simple. Identify one goal or project you've been tempted to announce prematurely. Keep it private, document progress privately, execute consistently, observe momentum building. Experience the power of results speaking louder than words. Over time, the habit of selective sharing will amplify your focus, energy, and accomplishments, creating a trajectory toward extraordinary success. Part 4. Momentum thrives in action, not words. Action is the heartbeat of achievement. Momentum, the invisible current that propels dreams forward, is born not from discussion but from execution. The more you act, the stronger this current becomes. The more you talk without acting, the more it dissipates, leaving ambition stranded in the shallows of intention. Consider the young entrepreneur who has been carefully nurturing an idea for a tech startup in San Francisco. He has a vision, a plan, and excitement, but he spends days, weeks, even months explaining it to anyone willing to listen: friends, colleagues, family. He asks for opinions, seeks validation, and posts updates on social media. At first, the feedback feels encouraging. Compliments, nods, and support activate a sense of progress. But the subtle danger begins. The brain interprets praise as reward. The sense of accomplishment gives a false impression of actual work being done. Momentum wanes, and days slip by without meaningful execution. Now compare him with another entrepreneur equally ambitious, working quietly in Denver. He has the same goal: to launch a revolutionary product. But instead of telling anyone, he immerses himself in research, prototyping, and strategy. Every day, he takes concrete steps toward building the product. Each task completed compounds into visible progress, fueling confidence and sustaining momentum. By the time the project is unveiled, it is polished, impactful, and leaves observers astonished, not because it was announced, but because results spoke louder than words ever could. The lesson is profound. Momentum cannot be borrowed from applause. It is earned through deliberate action. Every discussion about intentions, every explanation of future plans, consumes a portion of the energy that should be dedicated to execution. This is the paradox. Sharing your ambitions often diminishes the very drive needed to achieve them. Let's explore this further through daily routines and habits. Imagine an individual who wants to write a book. Each day they set aside a fixed block of time to write 500 words without telling anyone. The words accumulate, the narrative evolves, progress compounds silently. Contrast this with someone who posts daily updates on social media about writing progress, seeking encouragement and validation. Hours are consumed responding to feedback, debating plot points, or explaining ideas. Energy is diverted from writing. The total output is smaller and momentum is slower. The quiet writer, unseen and unvalidated, ends up with a finished manuscript far sooner, demonstrating the power of action over discussion. Momentum thrives because action creates feedback loops. Each completed task reinforces confidence, builds habit, and sets the stage for the next step. Progress becomes measurable, tangible, and motivating. The individual begins to trust their ability to execute, internalizing success and building self-efficacy. Conversely, when energy is spent talking, seeking validation, or managing perceptions, these loops are disrupted. Momentum falters, intentions remain unrealized. Consider the analogy of a snowball rolling down a hill. Each rotation adds mass and accelerates speed. The initial push is small, almost imperceptible, but as it continues, momentum builds until the snowball becomes unstoppable. Action compounds like this. Every small task, every focused effort, contributes to a growing force that propels projects forward. Words, on the other hand, are like air. They dissipate quickly, create a sense of movement without adding tangible weight, and can even slow progress when they distract from actual work. Let's bring this principle to everyday life scenarios familiar to a modern American audience. Take career advancement. Many employees discuss their ambitions openly, seeking guidance, recognition, or affirmation from supervisors or peers. Yet months pass and promotions or raises do not materialize. Those who quietly focus on building expertise, delivering consistent results, and mastering their craft find themselves rising naturally. Their momentum is a byproduct of action, not discussion. Similarly, personal goals like fitness, learning a language, or launching a side business follow the same principle. Execution compounds, discussion dilutes. Another dimension is psychological ownership. When you act quietly, you take full responsibility for progress. Failures and setbacks remain internal lessons, not public embarrassments. This builds resilience. Each small private success reinforces a sense of competence and self-trust. You learn that achievement is not dependent on external validation, but on consistent, deliberate effort. Over time, this mindset becomes self-reinforcing, creating a culture of internal accountability. The philosophy aligns closely with Jim Rohn's teachings. Success is the result of repeated, disciplined actions. The 3% understand that systems, habits, and quiet execution are more powerful than motivation or words. Action builds credibility, momentum, and results. Words build expectations, which may lead to premature judgment, doubt, or distraction. Every public declaration before action carries a risk. The moment you share, energy is diverted, momentum slows, and the project becomes vulnerable to external influence. Practical steps to cultivate momentum through action. Daily action blocks, schedule fixed periods each day to work on your goal. Focus solely on execution, not discussion. Private progress journaling, record achievements privately. Document milestones, learnings, and next steps. Energy preservation, limit discussion of goals to a trusted circle only. Use conversations strategically, not habitually. Micro-execution tasks break large goals into small, actionable steps. Complete 1 or 2 each day. Momentum accumulates faster than large, sporadic efforts. Reflect, don't announce at the end of each week, review accomplishments privately. Adjust strategies based on evidence, not external feedback. The emotional benefits are immense. Momentum nurtured through action cultivates confidence, purpose, and resilience. You experience tangible progress, internal validation, and a growing sense of control over your trajectory. Public recognition becomes secondary. It is the natural byproduct of sustained, silent execution. Let's examine creative endeavors. Artists, musicians, and writers often share works in progress prematurely, seeking feedback or validation. Many projects falter under this exposure. Those who work privately, iterating in silence, eventually reveal fully realized works that command respect and admiration. Momentum in these cases is both creative and operational, quiet, disciplined, and compounding with each day of action. Even in personal finance, momentum thrives on execution. Saving, investing, budgeting, and skill building compound when done consistently and quietly. Every small step, an extra $20 saved, a single stock purchase, or a micro-investment in learning, accelerates results over time. Talking about financial plans prematurely can invite skepticism, envy, or pressure to adjust, which slows progress. Quiet execution ensures that momentum grows undisturbed. The principle extends to entrepreneurship and innovation. In Silicon Valley, many startups fail not because of poor ideas, but because founders reveal plans too early, attracting competitors' advice, or unsolicited input that fragments focus. Companies that cultivate momentum quietly, testing, iterating, refining, emerge stronger, more competitive, and with a fully developed product. The impact of silent, consistent execution cannot be overstated. Momentum also protects against overwhelm. When goals are discussed publicly, external expectations add pressure. Every delay, every setback is scrutinized, increasing stress and potential burnout. Quiet execution removes this layer, allowing you to focus on progress rather than perception. Each completed step reinforces forward motion, creating a self-sustaining cycle of action and achievement. Finally, action-driven momentum transforms mindset. You begin to trust your instincts, rely on internal validation, and recognize that results are earned through effort, not applause. You internalize the truth that success grows quietly, steadily, and exponentially, but only if nurtured with focus, energy, and deliberate action. The lessons of Part 4 are clear. Talk less, act more. Preserve energy for execution. Let results validate ambition. Build momentum silently, and it will carry you further than words ever could. Part 5, Lessons from Contrast Talkers vs Doers. The world is full of talkers. They have ideas, visions, and ambitions that could change their lives and the lives of those around them. They tell everyone what they are going to do, they post updates online, they seek approval, and they bask in compliments for plans that haven't yet been realized. And yet when you look closely, there's a pattern. The more they speak, the less they accomplish. Energy leaks, motivation falters, dreams fade. Then there are the doers. They have the same ambitions, the same ideas, even the same potential. But they operate differently. They act quietly. They focus their energy on execution. They let results accumulate in silence. Momentum builds, and when their work finally emerges, it is polished, impactful, and undeniable. People notice not because it was talked about, but because action created tangible outcomes. This contrast between talkers and doers is not just anecdotal. It is psychologically and practically profound. Every time you talk prematurely about what you intend to do, you are releasing a portion of the energy that should fuel your actions. That energy, your mental and emotional fire, is finite. Speak too soon and your motivation diminishes. Wait to act and the world never sees your potential realized. Let's examine a real-world scenario. Imagine two entrepreneurs, each with the same innovative idea for a tech product. The first entrepreneur shares their plans widely. Friends, family, colleagues, social media followers. Comments come, some encouraging, some skeptical, some dismissive. Energy is spent responding to opinions, defending ideas, and seeking validation. Weeks turn into months and little progress is made. Momentum is lost. Disappointment follows. Contrast this with the second entrepreneur. They work quietly, methodically, building prototypes, researching the market, testing strategies, and iterating without announcing their progress. They keep their circle small and trusted. Months later, when the product launches, it is fully developed, polished, and successful. Observers are amazed. Momentum was preserved, focus remained intact, and action was uninterrupted by external noise. Rohn often said, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." The principle applies perfectly here. Doers don't rely on external validation to feel progress. They focus on improving themselves, their skills, and their results. Every task completed in private compounds. Every skill refined builds leverage. Every micro-action accumulates into significant outcomes over time. The talkers, by contrast, seek to feel accomplished before they have acted, and that pretense diminishes the very growth they hope to achieve. This lesson extends beyond entrepreneurship. Consider a writer with a lifelong dream of publishing a novel. One writer shares every idea, outline, and draft with friends, family, or online followers. Feedback, encouragement, and even critique consume attention and energy. The result, drafts remain unfinished, ideas scatter, and motivation ebbs. Another writer works quietly. They write daily, review their work privately, and gradually build the manuscript. Months later, the finished book astonishes everyone. The difference, execution and momentum over words. In our everyday lives, the lesson is the same. Whether learning a new skill, improving health, or building a side business. Talkers announce intentions before action, and their energy is fragmented. Doers act quietly, consistently, and intentionally, and their results compound. Momentum thrives where energy is preserved, focus is maintained, and progress accumulates in private. Practical exercises to shift from talker to doer. Daily action commitment: identify one goal and dedicate a fixed block of time daily to act on it without telling anyone. Private progress log: track your progress in a journal. Reflect on completed tasks and lessons learned without external validation. Energy audit: notice when talking or seeking approval drains your energy. Reallocate that energy to execution instead. Micro milestones: break your goal into daily or weekly steps. Celebrate completion privately and use the momentum to drive further action. Selective sharing: share progress only with mentors or trusted advisors who provide meaningful, constructive feedback. The emotional payoff is enormous. Doers develop intrinsic motivation, confidence, and resilience. They learn to trust their judgment, rely on internal validation, and recognize that progress is measured by results, not applause. They experience satisfaction in action, not attention. Over time, the habit of acting quietly cultivates a mindset of self-reliance, discipline, and patience, all essential traits for sustained success. Momentum is not linear, it is exponential. Each action builds on the previous, creating a compounding effect. Doers learn to respect the process. Small, consistent efforts accumulate into significant achievements. Talkers, conversely, often misinterpret social validation as progress, halting the compounding effect of action. By prioritizing execution over discussion, doers maintain forward motion, even when challenges, distractions, or setbacks arise. Consider health and fitness goals. The talker posts every meal, workout, or progress update, seeking praise and recognition. Motivation fluctuates with external approval, and consistency often suffers. The doer focuses on the exercise itself, the nutrition, and incremental improvements. Momentum builds, habits form, and over months, results compound into transformative change. Action, not recognition, drives progress. Financial goals illustrate the same principle. One person announces plans to save, invest, or start a side hustle, seeking validation from friends or online communities. Energy is spent explaining, debating, or defending decisions. Meanwhile, the doer sets up automatic investments, tracks spending, and quietly grows multiple streams of income. Results accumulate. When revealed, the financial transformation is undeniable. Momentum and compounding work silently, creating a foundation for long-term wealth. The psychological mechanisms behind this contrast are compelling. Talking too soon activates reward centers, giving a sense of achievement prematurely. It distracts from actual execution. Action, by contrast, engages problem-solving, discipline, and learning. Each successful step reinforces confidence, builds skill, and strengthens resilience. Doers develop an internal feedback loop. Action produces results, results produce confidence, confidence produces more action, a cycle of momentum and growth. Jim Rohn also emphasized, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. The talker often believes they are practicing discipline by sharing their plans, but without consistent execution, discipline remains theoretical. The doer embodies this truth. Small, consistent actions, repeated daily, compound into results that speak volumes. Words alone never achieve this. To cultivate this mindset, treat energy as currency. Every conversation, update, or explanation costs energy. Spend it wisely on execution. Prioritize tangible outcomes. Focus on what you can create, complete, or deliver rather than on what you can announce. Build momentum quietly. Let the accumulation of actions generate momentum, not the accumulation of words. Protect your vision. Keep early-stage projects private. Avoid premature exposure to judgment, doubt, or distraction. Use selective feedback. Engage only trusted mentors, advisors, or collaborators who add value without draining energy. The emotional lesson is profound. Doers experience flow, self-trust, and intrinsic satisfaction. They become resilient to external pressure, criticism, and envy. They learn patience, discipline, and perseverance. Talkers seeking validation often experience burnout, frustration, or disappointment. Momentum falters when energy is misallocated and potential is lost. This contrast is visible across industries, professions, and personal development. Whether building a business, pursuing a creative project, or developing personal skills, the path of the doer consistently outperforms the path of the talker. Momentum compounds silently, and results, when finally revealed, carry far more weight than any declaration ever could. In conclusion, the lesson of Part 5 is crystal clear. Stop talking about what you intend to do, start acting on it. Protect your energy, preserve your momentum, and let results speak. Action breeds credibility, confidence, and compounding growth. Words prematurely shared dissipate energy and risk sabotaging progress. Cultivate the mindset of the doer, disciplined, focused, quiet, and consistent. Your results will not only validate your effort, they will inspire, influence, and endure. Part 6. Discretion is strategy, not secrecy. Discretion is one of the most misunderstood principles in personal and professional success. Many confuse it with secrecy, with holding back information out of fear or mistrust. But true discretion is a deliberate strategy, A conscious choice to protect your energy, your momentum, and the integrity of your vision. It is a principle that the 3% understand intuitively. Action, timing, and selective sharing amplify results. Think about it. Every time you share an unfinished project, an idea still in its infancy, or a goal you have yet to achieve, you expose it to forces outside your control. Opinions, doubts, envy, and misguided advice begin to infiltrate your thinking. Even well-meaning feedback can introduce confusion, delay, or unnecessary complexity. Energy that could be directed toward execution dissipates. Momentum stalls, potential falters. Consider a real-world scenario. A software developer in Silicon Valley has conceived a groundbreaking application. Excited, he tells his colleagues, friends, and even casual acquaintances. He seeks their opinions, their feedback, and sometimes their validation. Initially, he feels encouraged. But as conflicting suggestions accumulate, he spends more time debating and explaining than building. The idea, once pure and focused, becomes fragmented. Months later, the project remains incomplete and momentum has been lost. Now compare this to another developer who keeps his project private, sharing only with a mentor he trusts implicitly. Every hour is devoted to coding, testing, refining, and iterating. Challenges are addressed quietly. Decisions are made without external pressure. When the product is finally revealed, it is fully functional, innovative, and impressive. The world takes notice not because of announcements but because results speak louder than words ever could. Rohn often emphasized the importance of focus and personal discipline. He said, "Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Discretion functions as a multiplier for discipline. By keeping plans close to the chest, you ensure that your energy is directed toward building, not explaining, toward action, not approval. The discipline you cultivate in private becomes your foundation for extraordinary results." Discretion also protects against the illusion of progress. Many people confuse verbalizing intentions with taking action. Telling someone you are launching a business, writing a book, or committing to a personal goal can provide a fleeting sense of achievement. Your brain interprets external validation as reward. Motivation diminishes. Action is postponed. The fire that should propel you forward loses fuel. By practicing discretion, you prevent this leakage of energy, preserving momentum for actual progress. Practical strategies to implement discretion include: selective sharing. Identify a small, trusted circle of mentors or peers for feedback. Avoid broadcasting plans to a wider audience. Delay disclosure. Share achievements or seek advice only after tangible progress has been made. Private planning. Use a personal journal or planner to map your goals and track progress without external validation. Energy conservation. Guard conversations that may dilute focus or introduce unnecessary distraction. Intentional feedback. Seek constructive input strategically, not habitually, ensuring it adds value without compromising momentum. Emotionally, discretion fosters confidence, autonomy, and resilience. When you act quietly, you learn to trust your judgment and your process. Failures become opportunities for reflection and growth, unburdened by external scrutiny. Each small success compounds, reinforcing belief in your capability. Over time, discretion transforms into a mindset of self-reliance, strategic thinking, and internal validation. In creative endeavors, discretion is particularly powerful. Artists, writers, and performers often share works in progress too early. The feedback, commentary, and opinions, even when well-intentioned, can distort vision, dilute focus, and stall momentum. Those who cultivate their craft quietly, refining their work in private, unleash creations that resonate profoundly when revealed. The impact of undisturbed momentum cannot be overstated. Discretion also intersects with the principle of timing. There is a moment when sharing becomes strategic, when work is complete, progress is tangible, or insight is actionable. Sharing at the right moment amplifies influence, credibility, and impact. Conversely, premature disclosure can lead to doubt, distraction, or unintended competition. The 3% recognize that the timing of disclosure is as critical as the action itself. Daily habits to cultivate discretion include: morning planning in silence. Dedicate the first 30 minutes of each day to outline actions and priorities privately. Focused work blocks. Work uninterrupted on a specific goal without discussing it. Track progress privately. Reflection journaling at day's end. Note achievements, obstacles, and next steps without broadcasting. Strategic sharing: schedule weekly or monthly sessions with trusted mentors for guidance, feedback, or advice. Discretion is not about isolation. It is about intentionally choosing when, how, and with whom to share. It preserves your energy, protects your vision, and maximizes the compounding power of action. It allows you to build quietly, learn through execution, and develop confidence rooted in accomplishment rather than external approval. Consider the psychological benefits. Every time you practice discretion, you strengthen your ability to focus, resist distraction, and act decisively. You cultivate patience and the capacity to delay gratification, two traits that underpin the habits of the 3% and their ability to compound success over time. Financial decisions, professional projects, creative pursuits, and personal goals all benefit from discretion. By limiting exposure, you reduce interference and increase the likelihood of achieving intended outcomes. Momentum is preserved, energy is concentrated, progress is measured and meaningful. Finally, discretion enhances legacy and influence. When you reveal achievements after deliberate private action, the impact is far greater than if you had broadcast intentions prematurely. Results become a testament to discipline, focus, and strategic execution. Others are inspired not by your words, but by the tangible, undeniable proof of your commitment and capability. In conclusion, Part 6 reinforces the philosophy that discretion is strategy, not secrecy. It is a critical multiplier for momentum, focus, and energy preservation. It allows you to execute with integrity, protect your vision, and maximize the impact of your efforts. By practicing discretion, you align your actions with the mindset of the 3%, creating a foundation for sustained, compounding success. Part 7, the element of surprise impact amplified. Success has a rhythm, a quiet undercurrent that few people recognize. The 97% chase attention, validation, and acknowledgement long before any meaningful result has been created. They announce intentions, tease projects, and share every early detail of their ambitions. But here lies the hidden truth. The power of your work is amplified by surprise. Surprise is not about trickery or deception. It is about timing, execution, and strategic restraint. When you work quietly and reveal results only after consistent, deliberate action, the impact is far greater than if you had broadcasted your intentions from the start. The difference lies in perception. People are naturally drawn to outcomes that emerge unexpectedly. They are compelled by the magnitude of accomplishment that seems to arrive from nowhere. Your results become undeniable proof of capability. Imagine an entrepreneur in Seattle who spent a year developing a mobile app. She kept her project private, sharing only minimal updates with a trusted mentor. Each day she coded, tested, and refined. No posts, no teasers, no announcements. The day she launched, the app exceeded download projections, received glowing reviews, and generated significant revenue within weeks. Users, investors, and peers were astonished, not because they knew she had been working, but because the results spoke louder than any announcement could. Contrast this with someone who develops an app in the same time frame, but posts daily progress updates on social media, seeks opinions on every feature, and discusses monetization plans with anyone willing to listen. Weeks pass, attention is divided, momentum falters, and the final product is delayed and less polished. The audience, now familiar with the process, is less impressed by the eventual outcome. The difference is clear. Surprise amplifies perceived impact. The principle extends beyond entrepreneurship. Think of a musician who has been composing an album for months. One artist posts snippets, lyrics, and behind-the-scenes content constantly. Fans watch the process, but anticipation diminishes over time. By the time the album releases, the perceived novelty is reduced. Another artist works in private, recording, refining, and producing quietly. When the album drops, fans are astonished, engagement soars, and critical acclaim amplifies the perceived brilliance. Surprise multiplies impact because it preserves the authenticity and magnitude of accomplishment. Jim Rohn said, "Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day." Applying this principle, the 3% understand that discipline combined with strategic timing produces exponential influence. The work done in silence compounds, the reveal magnifies its power. Momentum, focus, and energy are preserved until the moment is right, allowing results to carry weight far beyond what premature announcements could achieve. Here's a practical perspective. Every day, small, deliberate actions are taken to execute your goals. Whether it's developing a skill, completing a work milestone, or refining a personal project, each action builds momentum. Yet the impact remains hidden until the right time. By controlling when and how results are revealed, you maximize influence, credibility, and admiration. The element of surprise ensures that the attention your work receives is proportionate to its true value. Daily habits to cultivate this principle include silent progress tracking, document milestones privately, reflect on progress, adjustments, and challenges without sharing publicly. Micro actions without announcement, execute daily tasks that contribute to long-term goals. Do not seek recognition. Focus on results, not applause. Strategic reveal planning, determine the optimal moment to share outcomes. Consider timing, audience, and context to maximize impact. Energy preservation, avoid sharing early-stage projects or ideas with anyone not critical to execution. Protect your focus and momentum. Reflection on outcomes after revealing results, evaluate impact and lessons learned. Incorporate insights into future projects. Emotionally, embracing the element of surprise cultivates confidence, patience, and self-reliance. You no longer measure progress by the approval of others. Validation comes from tangible outcomes, not applause. Each successful reveal reinforces the power of focused action, patience, and strategic discretion. Momentum is preserved. Energy is concentrated, and execution compounds into extraordinary results. Consider fitness goals as a relatable example. A talker posts daily updates about a new workout regime. Friends, family, and followers watch, comment, and sometimes critique. The person is constantly reminded of external validation, losing focus on actual improvement. A doer, on the other hand, follows the same workout routine in silence, tracking progress privately. Months later, the transformation is dramatic. Colleagues and friends are astonished. The impact of results is magnified by the quiet effort invested. The principle also applies to learning and skill acquisition. A professional who quietly invests in daily improvement, reading, practicing, and applying new knowledge, ultimately stands out when skill mastery is revealed. Competence surprises peers and authority figures, leading to opportunities that could never have been achieved through discussion alone. The element of surprise creates leverage in social, professional, and creative arenas. Even financial achievements benefit. Consider someone who consistently invests, saves, and diversifies quietly over years. By revealing their financial independence or wealth accumulation only after results are concrete, the reaction from peers is magnified. Admiration, respect, and influence grow exponentially. Surprise ensures that outcomes are appreciated for their true value, not diluted by the process being visible all along. The emotional payoff is profound. Success achieved quietly nurtures humility, strategic thinking, and patience. It teaches that recognition is not necessary for progress, and that the most impactful outcomes are often those hidden from view until the time is right. Confidence builds as actions compound, results manifest, and others witness the true magnitude of accomplishment. Practical examples of leveraging surprise. A software developer releases a fully functional app without prior teasers, shocking users and competitors alike. A writer completes a novel quietly and submits it to publishers, creating intrigue and high anticipation upon release. An entrepreneur builds a product quietly for months, revealing a polished, market-ready innovation that outperforms competitors. An artist completes a series of works in solitude, exhibiting them only when the collection is complete, maximizing audience impact. Strategically, surprise magnifies the perceived value of achievement. People are naturally impressed by outcomes that appear sudden, effortless, or unexpected. The work that was quietly compounded over time is suddenly recognized as remarkable. This principle also reinforces internal discipline. The doer remains focused on action, energy is preserved, and momentum is compounded without external interference. Finally, integrating this into daily life requires a mindset shift. Prioritize execution over discussion. Every action taken in silence compounds. Preserve energy by limiting who has access to your intentions. Cultivate patience and timing, revealing results strategically. Trust that quiet momentum will eventually lead to amplified impact. By practicing the element of surprise, you not only protect your focus and energy, but also maximize the influence and admiration of your results. momentum is preserved. Action compounds and outcomes carry a weight that words alone could never convey. Part 8. Focus and energy management. Focus is the foundation of achievement, the hidden engine that turns ideas into reality. Momentum, as we have explored, is built quietly in deliberate action and compounded over time. But without focus, momentum can dissipate. Without energy management, even the most disciplined plans will falter. In the modern world, filled with distractions, endless notifications, social demands, and the constant noise of opinions, the ability to manage your attention and energy is more valuable than any skill, talent, or resource. Rohn often said, "Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Focus is the structure supporting that bridge, and energy is the fuel that keeps you moving across it." Without both, even the strongest intentions cannot be converted into tangible results. Consider the young professional in New York City. She wakes up with a clear plan: to complete a project, attend meetings, and make progress toward her personal goals. But within minutes, emails, messages, social media, and casual interruptions begin to fragment her attention. The day passes in a haze of reactive work. By the evening, she feels exhausted, but the meaningful tasks, the actions that would truly move her forward, remain incomplete. The fire of intention is consumed by distractions. Energy has been mismanaged, focus diluted, and progress stalled. Contrast this with another professional who practices intentional focus. He structures his day around dedicated blocks of time for deep work. Email, messages, and social media are turned off or checked at specific times. Meetings are purposeful only when necessary. Daily priorities are clearly outlined and protected. By the end of the day, he has completed the tasks that matter most. Energy remains high, and momentum builds steadily. The key lesson here is that focus and energy are finite resources, and how you allocate them determines the magnitude of your results. Attention is like currency. Spending it on distractions diminishes its value for meaningful work. Energy is like fuel. If consumed on reactive tasks or unnecessary validation, it is unavailable for execution and momentum. Managing both is essential for success. Practical strategies for focus and energy management. Time blocking. Dedicate specific periods of the day to deep work without interruption. Protect these blocks fiercely. For example, from 9:00 a.m. to 11:00 a.m., work on the highest leverage task without checking emails or messages. Prioritize high-impact tasks. Identify tasks that will move the needle most in your projects, business, or personal goals. Tackle these first when energy and focus are at their peak. Energy mapping. Observe your daily energy cycles. Are you most alert in the morning, mid-afternoon, or evening? Schedule demanding or creative tasks during peak energy periods. Single-tasking. Multitasking is an illusion that drains focus. Concentrate on one task at a time. Each completed task compounds momentum and builds confidence. Controlled exposure. Limit who receives updates about your projects. Share with trusted mentors or collaborators only. Reduces distractions, preserves mental energy, and strengthens momentum. Reflection and adjustment. At the end of each day, evaluate energy usage and focus. Which distractions could be reduced? Which activities provided high leverage? Adjust accordingly. Emotionally, managing focus and energy is empowering. It allows you to reclaim control over your day, your productivity, and your goals. When you are deliberate about where your attention goes, you feel agency, confidence, and mastery. Each small, focused action compounds over time, creating results that surprise and inspire others precisely because they were executed quietly and efficiently. Consider a fitness example. Many people announce a fitness goal publicly, posting workouts and progress updates daily. Feedback may feel motivating, but constant social interaction consumes energy. True progress requires focused, uninterrupted action, consistent workouts, nutrition tracking, and recovery, performed privately and deliberately. When results manifest, the impact is profound and undeniable, magnified by the surprise of consistent, silent execution. Financial management operates under the same principle. Those who meticulously track spending, automate savings, and focus on investments quietly maintain energy and attention for high-leverage financial decisions. Discussing financial intentions publicly can invite doubt, criticism, or competing advice, which diverts focus from action. The 3% prioritize execution over explanation, letting results compound silently. A practical exercise for energy and focus management. Daily focus audit each morning. List the top 3 tasks that will create the greatest impact on your goals. Allocate focus time blocks for these tasks. Avoid multitasking. At day's end, reflect on progress and energy utilization. Energy conservation challenge. Identify one activity or conversation that consistently drains energy without producing results. Reduce or eliminate it for 1 week. Notice how momentum improves. Momentum mapping. Track when momentum is highest during the day. Align deep work with these periods and protect them from distractions. Focus and energy management also directly influence creativity and innovation. When the mind is uninterrupted and fully engaged, solutions emerge faster, ideas flow more freely, and execution is more precise. Distractions fragment thought processes and impede problem solving. By controlling focus and conserving energy, you allow the brain to operate at peak capacity, turning strategy into tangible outcomes. Moreover, these principles scale across life domains. For personal development, deliberate focus ensures consistent growth through reading, skill acquisition, or mindfulness practices. For relationships, energy management allows deeper connection, attentive listening, and meaningful interactions. For entrepreneurship, prioritizing high-impact tasks over reactive work accelerates progress, strengthens strategic decision-making, and compounds results. Jim Rohn's philosophy reinforces this. Success is the natural result of consistently applying the fundamentals over time. Focus and energy are among the most critical fundamentals. Without them, discipline falters. Without them, momentum breaks. By mastering how you manage attention and energy, you create the environment for success to flourish quietly, consistently, and powerfully. The emotional resonance of this principle is profound. It instills a sense of agency and control, reducing anxiety and frustration caused by scattered attention or diluted energy. You begin to trust yourself, your schedule, and your decision-making process. Small actions accumulate, momentum compounds, and results emerge with amplified impact. The quiet focus becomes a shield against distraction, a conduit for productivity, and a catalyst for achievement. In practical terms, anyone can apply these principles starting today. Schedule focus blocks. Even 1 uninterrupted hour of deep work daily compounds over weeks and months. Audit energy expenditure. Reflect on which interactions or habits drain focus and adjust. Prioritize. Ruthlessly ask, which action today will move me closest to my goal? Execute it first. Protect your mind space. Limit exposure to opinions, noise, and distractions until the project reaches a stage where feedback is constructive. Reflect on results at week's end. Measure progress against momentum preserved. Celebrate silent wins. When executed consistently, these practices transform productivity. Ordinary tasks become extraordinary. Small wins compound into major achievements, and momentum is self-sustaining. The energy once squandered on external validation or distractions is now directed toward execution, creativity, and impactful results. Focus and energy management also strengthens resilience and patience. Challenges and setbacks are inevitable, but when your attention is deliberate and your energy preserved, obstacles are navigated with clarity and strategic decision-making. Momentum survives adversity. Confidence is maintained. Progress continues. Finally, consider the long-term multiplier effect. Each day of focused, energy-conscious action compounds like financial investments or skill mastery. Over months and years, results become extraordinary, often surpassing expectations. Those who act quietly, protect their energy, and maintain focus achieve transformational outcomes far beyond those who scatter attention, seek validation, or act reactively. Part 9. Self-education. Mental habits that grow wealth. Wealth begins in the mind. Before a dollar appears in your bank account, the ideas, decisions, and habits that govern your actions determine your trajectory. Every habit of thought, every learning moment, every insight compounds like interest on a well-planned investment. The 3% understand this principle intuitively. Their wealth is not just financial, it is mental, emotional, and strategic. Many people assume that education ends when they leave school. Degrees, certifications, and formal training are considered enough to navigate the complexities of life and career. Yet in reality, lifelong learning is the foundation of extraordinary achievement. Knowledge compounds, ignorance costs more than money ever could. The 97% often stop learning, distracted by entertainment, social media, or trivial tasks. They fail to realize that small daily investments in self-education multiply into massive personal and financial growth. Consider a young professional in Austin, Texas, working a standard 9-to-5 job. She dreams of financial independence and career advancement. Every day, she dedicates 15 minutes to read articles about investment strategies, watches tutorials about digital marketing, or listens to podcasts on personal growth. 10 minutes a day may seem trivial, but over months and years, the knowledge accumulated transforms decision-making, enhances skill sets, and opens opportunities that were previously invisible. The compounding effect of small, consistent learning is profound. Contrast this with a colleague who spends equivalent hours scrolling social media or binge-watching videos unrelated to growth. The time invested yields no actionable skills or insights. Over the same period, the colleague remains in the same position, making the same decisions, limited in potential. The difference is intentional self-education versus passive consumption. Jim Rohn's wisdom echoes through this principle. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. The 3% do not rely on external circumstances, luck, or initial advantages. They cultivate knowledge daily, applying it strategically to create value, solve problems, and generate wealth. Self-education is not passive. It requires discipline, focus, and the habit of transforming learning into action. Practical habits for self-education. Daily reading or listening. Commit at least 10-20 minutes per day to a topic that expands your financial intelligence, skill set, or strategic thinking. This could be books, articles, podcasts, or seminars. Active reflection after learning. Reflect. What can I implement today? How can this knowledge improve my decisions or create value? Application challenge. Take one actionable step daily based on your learning. Test strategies, apply new skills, or experiment with concepts in real life. Weekly synthesis. Summarize key insights at the end of the week and adjust your strategy based on outcomes. Sharing and mentorship. Teach someone else what you've learned. Sharing knowledge reinforces understanding and multiplies impact. Self-education also strengthens mental resilience. When you learn in private, without seeking immediate validation or recognition, you develop confidence rooted in competence. Mistakes become lessons, challenges become opportunities, and progress becomes internalized. This mindset allows you to navigate uncertainty, overcome setbacks, and make decisions that align with long-term goals rather than momentary rewards. Let's explore real-world examples. Consider two aspiring entrepreneurs. One dedicates an hour daily to learning marketing strategies, financial literacy, and leadership skills. He applies lessons immediately, tests hypotheses, and iterates. Another entrepreneur spends the same hour browsing social media for entertainment. Over a year, the first entrepreneur launches a successful venture, adapts quickly to market changes, and builds multiple income streams. The second remains stagnant, watching opportunities pass by. The compounding power of self-education is the differentiator. Mental habits are equally critical. The 3% cultivate curiosity, critical thinking, and adaptability. They question assumptions, analyze outcomes, and refine strategies continuously. Passive thinkers accept the status quo, active learners shape it. Each day presents an opportunity to challenge beliefs, explore new frameworks, and expand cognitive capacity. For example, a software developer might allocate 30 minutes to study emerging technologies, then apply this knowledge in side projects. A writer might dedicate daily time to explore new narrative structures or study high-performing publications. Each micro-investment builds competence and versatility, enhancing the ability to create value across domains. Self-education is also about intentional media consumption. The 3% choose inputs that align with growth. Financial news, biographies of successful people, tutorials, or research in their field. The 97% often consume content passively, filling time without strategic purpose. Over time, selective learning fosters mental clarity, strategic insight, and opportunity recognition. Daily exercises to integrate self-education. The 10-minute knowledge deposit. Choose a topic relevant to your goals. Read or listen for 10 minutes. Record one actionable insight. Reflection and action. Write down one way to apply the insight immediately. Execute within 24 hours. Weekly knowledge review at week's end, summarize all actionable insights, evaluate outcomes, and adjust plans. Teach or share, mentor a peer, or discuss learnings with a trusted circle to reinforce understanding and magnify impact. The emotional benefits of self-education are profound. Knowledge creates confidence, decisiveness, and autonomy. When you learn and apply consistently, you stop relying on external validation. You develop self-trust, allowing you to take calculated risks and seize opportunities that others miss. The compounding effect of mental habits fosters both financial and personal growth, creating a foundation for long-term success. Even small daily practices compound significantly. 10 minutes of study daily equals over 60 hours per year. 5 years of consistent learning surpasses 300 hours, roughly the equivalent of a full month of concentrated study. Apply these insights consistently, and you begin to think like the wealthy, act like the 3%, and make decisions that create exponential value. The ultimate lesson of Part 9 is that wealth grows in the mind before it manifests in reality. Your habits, knowledge, and decisions set the trajectory. Without intentional self-education, progress stagnates, opportunities are missed, and potential is wasted. The 3% invest in themselves daily, using time, focus, and discipline to cultivate a mindset that multiplies financial and personal results. By cultivating mental habits, managing energy wisely, and applying knowledge immediately, you lay the foundation for wealth, freedom, and influence. Every day is an opportunity to compound knowledge, sharpen skills, and make decisions that accumulate into extraordinary outcomes over time. Part 10. Legacy Mentorship, sharing knowledge, wealth beyond numbers. Wealth is not truly measured by the digits in a bank account, the square footage of your home, or the cars in your driveway. True wealth transcends money. It is the legacy you build, the influence you cultivate, and the knowledge you share with others. For the 3%, wealth is not a solitary accomplishment. It is a tool to impact, empower, and create ripple effects that extend far beyond their own lives. From the earliest stages of success, the 3% understand that knowledge compounds just like money. Every lesson learned, every skill acquired, every experience gained can be leveraged not only for personal gain, but also to teach, mentor, and guide others. When you invest in the growth of others, the returns are exponential. The wisdom you share strengthens relationships, builds trust, and creates opportunities you could not have achieved alone. Consider an entrepreneur in Chicago who quietly built a thriving business. For years, he worked diligently, invested in self-education, and cultivated habits of discipline and focus. When the business reached stability, he began mentoring younger entrepreneurs in his community. Each mentorship session amplified the impact of his own efforts. The mentees avoided common pitfalls, accelerated growth, and in turn contributed back to the ecosystem. The entrepreneur's influence multiplied without additional financial investment. His legacy was created through strategic sharing and mentorship. Contrast this with another entrepreneur with similar success who hoarded knowledge, treated achievements as personal trophies, and avoided sharing insights. The results may have been impressive financially, but influence and impact were limited. No mentorship, no ripple effect, and minimal community growth. The lesson is clear: true wealth grows exponentially when shared. The power of mentorship. Mentorship is a cornerstone of legacy. It allows you to transmit knowledge, guide decision-making, and empower others to achieve results that might otherwise have been unattainable. The 3% understand that mentoring is not a luxury. It is a strategic choice that amplifies the value of their experience. By investing time and insight in others, they reinforce their own knowledge, develop leadership skills, and create a network of influence that multiplies success. Daily application of mentorship can be simple but effective. Allocate a minimum of 30 minutes daily to mentor someone. This could be a colleague, a student, or a peer. Focus on providing actionable advice based on your experience. Document insights from each mentorship session, noting what worked and what could be improved. This reinforces your own learning while benefiting the mentee. Share small wins and lessons with mentees to illustrate concepts practically. Examples of problem-solving, resilience, and strategic thinking are far more impactful than theory alone. Real-world example: a senior developer in Austin dedicates 30 minutes daily to mentor junior engineers. She reviews code, shares problem-solving approaches, and provides guidance on prioritizing projects. Over months, the mentees improve significantly faster than they would alone. The mentor reinforces her own knowledge and strengthens the team's productivity, creating a legacy of skill and competence. Sharing knowledge exponential influence. Knowledge alone is not power, applied knowledge is. But knowledge shared strategically creates exponential influence. Whether through workshops, online content publications, or casual advice, sharing expertise amplifies impact far beyond personal effort. Consider a financial advisor in Denver who shares one key strategy daily with clients or through social media. Simple budgeting techniques, investment principles, or mindset shifts. Each person who applies the advice benefits individually, but collectively the impact spreads widely. Over time, this practice builds a reputation of authority, trust, and influence. The advisor's efforts are multiplied as each recipient applies the knowledge, mentors others, and propagates the lessons further. Daily habits to cultivate knowledge sharing. Teach one actionable principle each day, even informally, to a colleague, friend, or mentee. Document lessons learned from your own daily experience and share selectively. Curate knowledge from books, seminars, or personal experience into practical tips that others can apply immediately. Encourage mentees to teach others, creating a cascading effect that amplifies the original impact. The emotional power of legacy. Legacy is deeply emotional. It provides purpose, aligns actions with values, and creates a sense of permanence beyond personal achievements. When your wealth, knowledge, and experience positively affect others, your life acquires meaning and significance that transcends material success. You start to measure success not by what you acquire but by what you empower others to achieve. Consider a writer who has spent years building craft in private. She mentors aspiring authors, shares writing techniques, and provides guidance on publishing. When her mentees achieve their first publication, the emotional fulfillment for the mentor is profound. The success is not hers alone, it is a shared victory. Her legacy grows, multiplied across lives, careers, and communities. Practical daily applications for building legacy. Reflect on impact at the end of each day. Note one way your actions positively influenced another person. Teach through action. Demonstrate principles through your own work. Let results become a teaching tool. Prioritize meaningful mentorship. Allocate time for individuals whose growth aligns with your values and vision. Document insights. Keep a private journal of lessons learned, decisions made, and strategies developed to share later. Create scalable knowledge platforms. Publish, present, or host workshops to expand reach beyond personal interactions. Real-life examples of legacy amplification. A tech entrepreneur in Silicon Valley builds multiple startups while mentoring a small group of emerging founders. His mentees develop successful companies, creating jobs, innovation, and economic impact. His legacy grows exponentially, far beyond the original ventures. A fitness coach in Los Angeles develops a training program and shares it through workshops and online content. Hundreds adopt the principles, transforming health and lifestyle outcomes. The coach's influence is multiplied through dissemination. A financial literacy advocate in New York City shares daily tips with teenagers and young adults. Each individual applies, improves financial behavior, and spreads the knowledge, creating generational impact. Mindset lessons. Think beyond yourself. Wealth is most powerful when it creates value for others. Act strategically. Share knowledge selectively and at the right time to maximize impact. Compound influence. Daily small actions in mentorship and teaching accumulate into substantial long-term effects. Internal validation. Focus on results and impact rather than external applause. The emotional takeaway. Creating a legacy through mentorship and knowledge sharing cultivates fulfillment, confidence, and purpose. You feel the deep satisfaction of impacting others' lives positively, of building something that outlives you. It transforms ordinary wealth into enduring influence, ordinary action into extraordinary impact. Final challenge. Take one action today to build your legacy. Mentor someone, share a lesson learned, document a strategy, or teach a practical skill. Let your results, not your words, create influence. Over time, these small, consistent actions will compound, amplifying your reach, credibility, and impact far beyond what you could achieve alone. Remember, true wealth is not in accumulation, it is in contribution, influence, and the lives you touch. By combining self-education, focused action, and strategic sharing, you embody the mindset of the 3%, creating a life that inspires, empowers, and leaves a lasting legacy. Conclusion: mastering the quiet path to extraordinary success. We've journeyed together through 10 transformative principles that reveal a truth many overlook. Success is not about talking, it's about acting. It's not about seeking validation, it's about cultivating results. From the moment we explored the power of silence, to understanding the energy drain of sharing too soon, to learning how to protect your vision and preserve momentum, each section has built upon the last, creating a framework for intentional, action-driven achievement. In part 1, we discovered that results speak louder than words, that silent action preserves energy, and that letting your achievements reveal themselves amplifies impact. Part 2 highlighted how premature sharing drains motivation and fragments focus, teaching the importance of directing energy toward execution rather than applause. Part 3 emphasized selective sharing, ensuring that feedback and validation come only from trusted mentors who add value rather than distractions. Momentum, explored in Part 4, thrives in consistent, deliberate action, not in announcements or updates. The contrast between talkers and doers, illuminated in Part 5, revealed the stark difference in outcomes. Those who act quietly build lasting achievements, while those who talk constantly often stall in the realm of intention without execution. In Part 6, we examined discretion as a strategic tool, showing how protecting your plans preserves focus, energy, and momentum, reinforcing Jim Rohn's principle. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. Part 7 revealed the power of surprise, demonstrating that strategic timing of results amplifies their impact and elevates perception. Part 8 focused on focus and energy management, teaching how to allocate attention deliberately, prioritize high-leverage tasks, and conserve mental and emotional energy for what truly matters. Part 9 highlighted self-education and mental habits, showing how consistent daily learning compounds into wisdom, skills, and financial opportunities, the true foundation of long-term wealth. Finally, in Part 10, we explored legacy, mentorship, and sharing knowledge, illustrating that wealth transcends money. True success lies in empowering others, teaching principles, and creating a ripple effect that amplifies impact beyond your own life. Your accomplishments, shared thoughtfully and strategically, inspire others, build trust, and create enduring influence. The overarching lesson is clear. Quiet, deliberate action combined with strategic discretion creates compounding momentum, trust, and results that speak far louder than words ever could. Every small intentional step, every micro habit, every act of focused execution compounds over time to produce extraordinary outcomes. This is the mindset of the 3%, those who achieve lasting success, influence, and wealth by working silently, learning continuously, and acting deliberately. So how do you apply this in your life starting today? Here are practical steps. Take action in silence, identify one goal and begin working on it without broadcasting your intentions. Protect your energy limit, who receives updates about your plans to trusted mentors or advisors. Build momentum daily, take consistent micro steps each day that contribute to progress. Invest in self-education, dedicate time daily to learn, reflect, and apply new skills or knowledge. Share strategically, mentor, teach, and share insights only when your results are tangible to amplify impact. Reflect and adjust, review progress privately, refine your strategy, and preserve focus for what matters most. Now it's your turn. Which principle resonates most with you, and what small step will you take today to act quietly, build momentum, or protect your vision? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights can inspire and guide others, creating a ripple effect of growth and motivation. And if this journey has inspired you, if it has given clarity, motivation, or a framework to achieve your own ambitious goals, subscribe to Daily Spark Motivation. By joining, you'll receive ongoing guidance, actionable strategies, and encouragement to continue building focus, momentum, and lasting success. Your subscription isn't just support for the channel. It's a commitment to yourself, your growth, and the life you're capable of creating. Remember, success doesn't need to shout, it doesn't need a spotlight, it grows quietly, steadily, and powerfully when you act with intention. Guard your dreams, nurture your focus, and let your results speak for themselves. The life you desire, the impact you seek, and the legacy you can leave begin with the choices you make right now in silence. With deliberate action.